So you're out for the night camping and you want to hammock camp, but maybe you don't have a hammock. Maybe you don't even own a hammock. Maybe your dog ate your hammock. If any of those cases are true, no fear. We're gonna show you today how to bushcraft a hammock, Coalcracker style. Now this is a little bit unique compared to other things that we do. It's just a fun bushcraft style project. This is gonna require just some rope, some twine, and you are gonna be good to go. Of course, you're gonna need your tools, your saw, your axe, that type of thing, and it's all about material selection. So let's get started. And you probably already guessed it, phase one of this project requires a Y branch. Now you can see this Y branch is quite big. It's actually past the Y this way, about 8 foot in length. So big timber is what we're gonna need for this. I also opted to grab some old climbing rope. You're gonna want some very robust rope for this because this is gonna suspend your entire body weight up off the ground. Next thing is a tree with a nice big Y in it. Just make sure it's not dead or there's nothing dead hanging off the top. Make sure the base is also good and solid because this is our main support beam. Now at the end of the big long branch with the Y, we're gonna tie a clove hitch. So you want to make sure when you tie your clove hitch that you have enough of a tail on this one end. You can even put a stop knot in there if you'd want to for extra security. Now comes the fun part. We're going to take the end of the rope that we didn't tie off to our large branch and we are going to throw it through that Y of the tree that we identified a little bit earlier. Once that's through, we're going to position our large Y branch about as high as our chin is what I found is going to work out best, and just let it lay like that. So now that we have this position, what I'm going to do is just slowly begin to raise this up. Okay, now I'm looking out at that front branch and I'm trying to make sure it's over my head. The reason for that is twofold. Number one, we're going to have weight on this, so it's going to lean down a little bit more. Number two, because this climbing rope is going to stretch a little bit, I need to take that in consideration. So I'm going to go just estimate that that tips a little bit above where my head would actually be, and then we're going to tie it off in the back. Now the best way I found to tie this off is come back down the center of the tree as I am right now, and then just wrap this rope around the tree like this and go underneath itself. So you're pulling it through just like this to start our knot. Once it's like this, it's going to offer support to both of these Y branches and it's going to keep that front from tipping down. Now I'm just going to simply go around both of these Y branches several times with the excess rope that I have. You don't have to pull super tight with this. It's going to hold in place just fine how it is. Once I get so far along here, what I like to do then is just come on the inside, almost like I'm putting frappings on a lash. Put this up through. And I'll just wrap this around a few more times. And now we have our major support beam in place. So you do want to check this before you go any further. If you need to readjust this after its initial stretch, which I could tell you right now, I'm going to need to. I'm just going to go back and readjust that. Ideally, before we start to add any other components, we want this at full stretch mode about this high. So again, a little bit above my head down at the end, because as we add weight to this, it's naturally going to pull itself tighter. Line's now repositioned, rope is retightened, and now if I get on here, we're about even. So that's good. You see there's a little bit of flex back on that. Now we need to add our next components. Listen, what do you think? You're with Coalcracker Bushcraft and you're not going to need Y branches. You always need Y branches. So what we're looking for here are Y branches that have lengths of about 3 foot and the width about 3 foot also. So these are going to be a little specific. But what we want to do with these then is we're just going to come on each side of this and we're going to place them on here. If you can start to think about a hammock right now, once we put our cross beams in, we're going to start making our bed that's going to be suspended off the ground. At this point, the contraption behind me has its 2 cross members attached to the Y branches that are attached to the top fulcrum point. So it looks a little bit cattywampus in the fact that it's leaning up that way, but you need to take into consideration your body weight. Again, when I get on this thing, it's gonna stretch and level out, and that's ultimately what we want. But even once we build this thing, we can always go back and readjust the height of that rope, which adjusts the front end, how high up that comes, and it will all work out just fine. So right now that the uprights and the Ys are in place, I'm gonna cut some cross slats and we're close to finished. All right guys, so next thing you need to do is collect your cross members. All right guys, so for the cross members, what we're gonna do is we're just going to put a simple jam knot. You can take this a step further if you'd want to and really take your time and lash all of this, but this is very, very tedious work. So it does play on you a little bit if you have a lot of this to do. So for me, a simple jam knot is going to just work fine. Just to hold these things in place. Once one's on the other side, that's really not gonna move too much because we're gonna stack our wood through here. All the lashings are now complete and we have our cross members in place. So at this point is the moment of truth. What's gonna happen? So what I found is the easiest way to get in here is use this cross beam. So you need a little bit of strength to just pull yourself on in here and then just twist and turn to get yourself leveled out, okay? If you're like that, everything's good. You get a little bit of sway, everything's fine. Just swing yourself out and you're good to go. So hey, Bushcraft hammock, easy breezy. Well, it actually requires a little bit of work, but it isn't that bad if you have the right materials. So you just got to play around with it. Make sure that your Y branches are sturdy enough. Make sure you're using good, strong cross members. Make sure you're using good, strong wood overall because it is supporting all of your weight. So this was Dan Walwack with Coalcracker Bushcraft. Hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said earlier in the video, a little bit different, little playtime out here in the woods, but it's something fun to do. So if you like what we're doing here, subscribe to our channel. Also check us out at coalcrackerbushcraft.com and Appalachian Bushman School for all of our bushcraft classes this coming year, 2019. And until next video, stay in the woods.